Well, as the markets continue to heat up, you know the obvious coins that everyone's buying and holding, but what's one maybe not a lot of people are talking about that we believe are going to see a huge rally in the next 2 to 4 weeks? We share our one token on today's show. We also have Magic Internet Money joining us to break down the charts. We'll take a look at BTC, some of your favorite altcoins. Also, did Arizona just become the first state to adopt a Bitcoin strategic reserve? Hold your horses. Although it's passed the Senate and the House, it might not be a done deal. We'll have that conversation. We're going to talk a little AI. We'll talk about what the SEC is doing with all the spot ETF applications and what it means moving forward. We have that and much, much more on today's episode of Sin City Crypto. Let's go.
It's your boy, Big Rob, back in the house. Welcome to Sin City, My Camera, Crypto. Get out of here. We take old, boring, and stale information, repackage it up in a fun, sexy way. That's what we do here. We also throw price predictions. We nail those 100% of the time. We're never wrong. And we also... What are you doing?
Can you be genuine?
You're making some weird sound.
You've obviously never seen Tropic Thunder? Anyways.
Robbie, you want to do it again?
Do
it again.
Have some substance. Perhaps a word, maybe.
Rocco,
maybe
we're recording this,
sentence.
right? So I can show it to Robin next time he rambles on the show with no code.
But I use words.
Yeah.
Hey,
Really
no
good
need to
words that make
record
no
it.
sense when you
It's
put
on
them
the
together.
internet. No need for record it.
Thank you, Rob.
Bitcoin, 95,000. Back above. We're down below for a little bit. We were, started yesterday's show, said, hey, you know what? 100K by Friday. Still believe it? You still holding on?
3 days left.
Still holding on? 4 days. 4 days.
Including today.
That's what I'm saying. What do you think? 100K still on the table? Right? I think so.
Look at this, okay? BlackRock alone, $1 billion.
Yeah, I saw that this morning.
I mean, I think that's their biggest inflow day ever. And the reason we didn't cross that 1 billion is because every other issuer was either a goose egg or negative, including Fidelity, including Bitwise, including ARK. I think ARK had the most at 226 million. Let me just double check. Yes, the fourth column is ARK. 226. Fidelity had 87 million of outflows, which brought our net total yesterday to 600 million. You know, the amount over the last 7 days, $3.653 billion has flowed into BTC on top of Michael Saylor buying, on top of everything else. And so it's like that boiling pot, man. There's only so long that lid can stay on before that water boils over. And I think we're at that point with BTC. You might see maybe a day or two of this kind of choppy, super tight 94.2 to 95.6 range. And then that move, when we get it, I think is going to be big. And we're going to get Magic's take on what a move like that would look like when he joins us in just a little bit. I do want to also share this. Rob, did you see the new legislation? The Preventing Elected Leaders from Owning Securities and Investments, also known as the Pelosi Act.
Pelosi Act, huh?
Yeah. It's a great acronym there. So this is to not allow congressmen and women to buy, trade, and hold stocks. It's just, I thought it was quite hilarious that the Pelosi Act. That was pretty funny. All right.
Did you see, you ever take a peek at the current balance of Bitcoin on exchanges? It's at its lowest level has been since 2018. 2000. So
That looks like the lowest ever, huh?
Yeah. So the gold line here, that is since 2018. This chart is all of 2019. So, we're at less than 500,000 Bitcoin currently. And we've seen this sharp drop. And so since the ETFs went live, we've pretty much been sucking BTC out of the exchanges. And
interesting wordage.
Exactly, that's where it's going. So seen a very sharp decline lately post halving. And so we went from the start of this bull market from 650,000 Bitcoin. Now we're at 400 something thousand. And so just keep an eye on that, because how much was the US going to buy? 1 million Bitcoin?
1 million Bitcoin, yeah.
How much does that equate to over 5 years? So the plan is to buy 1 million Bitcoin over 5 years. How many Bitcoin is that a year?
A lot.
You don't know.
I'm trying to pull up the OTC numbers. That's why my
so 5 years, 1 million, that's 200,000 Bitcoin a year. Okay, I know those.
That's what I meant.
I threw some hard numbers at you there.
That's what I meant.
You know,
I told you I was sidetracked. Okay?
Yeah. So, anyways, if the U.S. buys 200,000 Bitcoin, like they say they are, then at that point, they take half of the OTC supply. Let that sink in. U.S. buys 200,000 Bitcoin, which they've said they will, which if the Cynthia Lummis bill passes, which should go up for voting. I know they had submitted the bill. Anyways, if that goes through, they're going to buy 200,000 Bitcoin. There's only 400,000 on the exchanges. Half of it will be gone for the U.S. Think about that.
It's really simple math. No, honestly, it really is simple math. And here's the thing. You can't do this simple math on any other asset. Because if it's gold, guess what? They can mine more gold. If it's stocks, the company can issue more stocks. If it's soybeans, they can grow more soybeans. You cannot grow or issue more Bitcoin. And so we can use something called math. And if you don't overcomplicate it, then it's very simple math. There's going to be more buyers than there are tokens and what's being issued at the steady rate that is being issued. So don't make it confusing. Make it super simple and just use math. We all learn math from grade 1 through high school, or majority of us. Unless you're in Portugal, they don't teach you math there, right?
You notice I pulled up that chart was from that's from 2021. Anyways, I saw that last.
So you gave us false information?
No, it's still the same.
Oh, okay. So it's not at the lowest it's been?
It's still the lowest it's been since 2018.
And then on top of the math, you have a...
Yeah, here it is. Here's another one that's a little bit more up to date.
Okay.
Same thing.
Take a look.
So less than 280,000 Bitcoin. And so we had this sharp drop from over 300,000 just a few days ago. Now, the black line here is Bitcoin balance on exchanges.
Like I said, man, just keep it simple, stupid. Thank you, Hithos Crips. Kiss, keep it simple. Also, shout out to Jordan Sherwood. No idea who you are. Haven't seen you in here, but he said, what up? So I say also to you, Jordan, what up? I do want to share one thing. You guys know we love our community. We appreciate all your support. And so Poman has been, along with a lot of other ones, but Poman has been one of our most ardent, longtime supporters. Poman, I hope you don't mind me sharing this on the show, my friend, which I don't think you will. But this is a close friend of Poman's. Unfortunately, this young lady is fighting breast cancer, and she is doing a fundraiser dinner. This is in Rhode Island. So unfortunately, we are not in Rhode Island. So if you'd like to, if your wallet allows it, and you want to give back to people, this is her Venmo and her WhatsApp information. If you want to donate some money, we will be donating some money on behalf of SINCITY Crypto. And so a friend of Poman is a friend of ours. And so guys, if you want to support and you want to help someone out, please, if you can, donate some money to help this young lady fight breast cancer. And so Poman, thanks for sharing that in the Discord, my friend. We hope through us sharing it on this channel, she can get some needed money to help her fight her breast cancer battle, and Godspeed to her. With that being said, I do want to go over the thumbnail theme today, which had a bunch of coins that said buy, and then there was a mystery coin. So before we bring Magic on, we are going to reveal our mystery coin. Rob, you want to go first or you want me to go first?
Go ahead, brother.
I'll go first. All right. So you guys know I'm super bullish on, Virtual Protocol, AI, RWA, stablecoin, DeFi. There's one project that really ran hot, and that hasn't really had a rally like everything else had. And that is none other than Aave. Okay. Aave. We got a nuke. Okay. Nathan Lowmaster, $100 for Poman. We will forward that to the amount that we're going to donate. So thank you, Nathan. And again, Poman, thank you for sharing that. Appreciate it, brother. Okay. So for me, it is Aave. It falls into multiple categories. One is the largest protocol by TVL, right? Someone correct me if I'm wrong. 2, it's in DeFi. But 3, it also services institutional DeFi. And so this thing is sitting at a market cap of $2.5 billion. Great tokenomics, only 16 million supply of Aave with 90-something% of it already circulating. And so I don't want to call it perfect tokenomics, but it's S-tier tokenomics. And this is what the Aave chart looks like. This is on the daily. Since we broke that 374 on an attempt to make a new all-time high above $400, we failed and continued to make lower highs. And we have recently broken that uptrend, and we are currently consolidating at this key $170 level. Well, last time Aave chopped sideways at this level was here, okay? And it rallied. And it rallied from $169 to its all-time high of $400. Now, I'm not saying it's going to follow that exact same kind of, price action, but I think Aave extremely undervalued at $2.5 billion. You guys know how bullish I am on stablecoins. RLUSD is on the platform. They have their own stablecoin. It's time tested. It's got a great community behind it. It's got a great team behind it. And so to me, Aave is a no-brainer. From $400 to $170 you can buy it now. So my coin, and I know it's not some gem, but no one really talks about Aave, right? And so I'm talking about Aave. That is my pick. Aave. Rob, what's yours?
I'm going to piss some people off with this one.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Let me guess. Hex.
No. No, I'm trying to make money.
Wow.
For me, I got to go with Gala. I
God,
know.
Serious.
And it's off the back of gaming, man. You know that I'm hyper bullish on gaming. And this is the top 100% gaming focused crypto. Now, I know they have video and other things that they're on their roadmap, but essentially this is a gaming chain, right? It's hard to argue that's not what they stand for. And so gaming pops off. I just don't see, if gaming sector rallies, I just can't fathom in any scenario that Gala doesn't crush it. Now, I'm just saying that if gaming and crypto doesn't play out, then Gala's gonna be a swing and a miss. You're gonna regret it. But if you think that there's gaming and blockchain, if that thing is harmonious, if that thing ends up being something, gaming rallies, there's some big blockchain game, you best believe Gala's gonna explode. And historically, you look back at the price, just 4 months ago, it was at 6 cents. 4 months ago, it was at 6 cents. So if you get a gaming rally, I mean, you're talking a 4x from here, right? For a top 100 project, a 4x away from where it was 4 months ago. And then if you really want to get bullish, you can go back to its 2021 rally, which was 74 cents. Now, tokenomics are a little different, so I don't even personally think it'll get that high, even with the bullish gaming sentiment. But I do see a 20-cent Gala if gaming rallies. And I wholeheartedly believe gaming is going to be a very, very frothy vertical this bull market cycle. It was twice last bull market cycle, if you include metaverse. And they have not only do they have, a gaming chain, but they have a full catalog of games, man. And it's you go to Gala's website, and they haven't slowed down either. You go on here and it's new game after new. Eventually they're gonna hit one of these out of the park, because if you know anything about blockchain gaming, there's a lot of snooze fests, a lot of crap games. So you got the UXE Villages, which looks a lot like Minecraft.
Yeah, it looks like
you got Gala Music, Gala Film. So there's other things in the pipeline. But when you go to the Gala Games website, you can really see
all the other games no one plays. Crazy.
They got more. Like, give me a chain that has games that people are playing that have more users than here. Now, it might not be to the level of non-crypto blockchain games, but honestly, David, if you say nobody plays it, give me one game that there has more active players right now than what is on Gala Games. That's what I'm saying. So if you're going to call it out and say
Infinity,
there's no way. There's zero chance. More people are playing Axie Infinity than the Gala Games right now. Spider Tanks alone has a massive user base. Massive. And then you got Last Expedition's got a big user base as well. Go talk to Matt. He'll tell you there's thousands of people actively playing. You go to another game like Decentraland, for example. They have like 2 people playing in each server. And then you got thousands of people currently playing at one point in time. And then I know Spider Tanks is huge, bro. And so Town Stars is huge. There's a lot of players in town. I haven't looked at the numbers, but give me if you're bullish on gaming, you think it's a thing, and you don't got exposure to Gala. It was 6 cents back in January. 6 cents, bro.
And it was 70 cents last cycle, and look where it's at now. Okay. I do have a poll up. Whose pick do you like better? And we'll leave this up here for a little bit, and we'll see. Also, ticket sales go up this Friday for the Bitcoin conference. It's less than a month away. Holy shit, that creeped up super fast. And so if you're planning on coming to Vegas, there's a link in the description to use it. And with that being said, we have our main man, Magic, Internet Money, joining us. Magic, sorry to keep you waiting, man. If I can cut this man's nonsense off, I would, but I just feel bad. I did a lot of it yesterday. And so today, I apologize. We had to leave you backstage a little longer than we normally do. Either way, welcome back, my friend.
That's all right. I'm doing good, man. It's nice here in Kansas for once. So
Kansas.
I'm loving it.
About Kansas?
Kansas. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. This is the crypto hub of the United States. Don't you know it?
Yeah.
Middle of nowhere, Kansas.
Actually, Arizona might be the crypto hub. We'll get into that later. Magic, the charts. What are they saying to you? Are they speaking? Are they whispering? Are they screaming at you? Let's start with BTC, if you don't mind.
Yeah, no problem. Let me get my chart up here. This is actually...
And we only want bullish, okay? The bullish side, okay? Just kidding.
Well, we get to talk about that. If you recall last week, we said, what we're looking at is anything above the yearly open, and we're happier, I guess. So to me, I look at it as we still haven't formally tagged a few targets that are above us. And as long as we're holding the yearly open here at 93,371, with the weekly open just above it by just a few $100, a nice little confluence there. You can see you actually did get a dip down into it. That you'd be looking for this to take the previous week high here, sitting right around 95,843. Now, what happens after that is the question, because this is kind of your big resistance. It's the overall point of control from this pretty large consolidation. And it's your gold pocket, and if you go out to like a weekly time frame, you're looking to see, can we start closing weeklies above, this like 98K range if you're going for real validations. But being above the yearly open is the big one for me. That's quite a good sign, meaning that if you're above the yearly open, you can realistically try to challenge to new highs. The only thing that you need to be aware of is that price can dip from here, and I think it's more likely than not going to take a dip below the yearly open. That doesn't mean that this rally is doomed. That only stems from statistics. And if you look, I've got on here some dotted lines here, and I don't know if people can see them well at home because I know you guys are on your phone, so I'll try to zoom in. These are old weekly pivots. I do actually plot them when they're not tagged because, I track them based on where they're at in terms of how far apart are they. And let me mute my Discord here.
That was actually my magic. Sorry.
Oh, I was that
me,
was
my
loud.
No, it wasn't you.
You're good. I was like, dude. But we like to see how far apart they are, but also we want to see if they're getting hit. And the reason is because these do hit at an 80+% rate. It's very odd when you don't hit it 3 times in a row. That sounds weird to say, but it doesn't happen often. Let's put it that way. So
that is very true. That's very true.
It's just like in Vegas where you're betting on red or black. The wheel can certainly spin red or black simultaneously, probably more times than most people can bear. But in the history of averages with Bitcoin, it's only happened a handful of times that you'll miss 3 weekly pivots in a row. And that average comes in at 91.5. So the odds of us coming up and pushing to these levels and getting into that resistance are definitely in bull's favor. And if we see a rejection, I would be looking for a target back down at this consolidation here around 91.5, which is a major opportunity zone for me still because you're above some really key averages. So going into the close tomorrow, what people want to pay attention to, if you recall, we've been working off of a 30 and a 60-day model where we're looking at how are these averages generating. And the 60-day is actually still generating to the upside, whereas the monthly was heavily to the downside and even living below the 60-day. Now the 60-day and 30-day are going to generate at the exact same spot going into next month because in the month of April, we've made all 3, the high, low, and then obviously the close will come. And you can see it is coming in right here, and they are the same. So it doesn't do any good to have them both on. So you can see it is here. So this isn't inherently a bad thing. It's only a bad thing if we start to lose this region, which is, if you recall, we had a box here previously. So as long as Bitcoin, if it does take that little dip, be more bullish if it didn't. Obviously, if it just blasted through here, that'd be the ideal scenario for a bull market. But if it comes back to this zone, this is the area where I'm going to start really paying attention and saying, okay, maybe this is my opportunity zone. But below here is dangerous. Anything below here, and I don't think that you just fill in, this weekly naked point of control and the pivots. I think that it challenges all the way back to the lows at that point. So I do think it's very important to hang on to that 89 to maybe even $91,500 zone going forward. Statistics say we're more likely to hit it than not, especially knowing that we haven't been meeting our average over this trend, which even in the strongest of trends in Bitcoin's history doesn't occur really. So eventually you will get that mean reversion, even if it's just a local one for a higher low. And that's where you want to see it coming in at, because below here, there's really nothing good for price. If you take a look, it's a nice SR flip zone when you just put the box on, right? Keep it simple. So, am I bullish? I mean, if we're above the yearly open, absolutely. I think we're probably going to make a new high. If we start living below it, I'm just looking for this to be support. And if it's not support, I need to reevaluate this rally or just remain neutral as always. So bulls have the ball for sure. Going back to this model here, if it were to play out like it does every other cycle, like this one, and we got a similar to 2021 peak, which this was the model I had for 2021, a 20% zone for the all-time high, we still have the exact same thing that occurred at the 1-to-1 here after a dip, after this little red zone and the timing. Same thing here, front run it just by about a week or two. Big sell-off, coming back into this zone. I would still be looking at things through the lens of I'm probably not that in favor of going beyond this zone until I see price really doing something like flipping probably about 115K at that point. And that's way off before we can even have that conversation. But just getting back up into here would be an area, again, where if I'd put on additional risk, which I didn't take any, I took a leveraged trade here, took profits at 92, got stopped out and bought some spot. I'll probably take some profits up here. And if it goes further, I'll continue to let those positions run. But I haven't opened any shorts or anything. It's just one of those things where really looking to see if this can actually push, get a new high. And if there is an intraday trade, it would just be back down to the bottom side of this local range, nothing drastic. But it can certainly turn into more, or it can turn into a really great area to flip long in this region. So, yeah.
Awesome.
That's it. That's Bitcoin.
Magic, it seems like Bitcoin wants to am I getting double feed, Rocco?
Yeah, there is a little echo, maybe.
Okay.
The speaker, if you turn it down a little bit.
Okay. As far as the consolidation, it seems like Bitcoin wants to kind of consolidate. Looks like between like 94, 95.3 ish. Do you think this could potentially? And I don't know if you know the answer to this, Magic, but do you think this could be a week-long consolidation, a month-long consolidation? Is there any clues on the chart or anything you're seeing that could tell you that, hey, could be in for a longer consolidation, or hey, this thing looks like it's gearing up for a big move?
I wouldn't say that I think it's going to be too long. I would get worried if this took its time without trying to take a stab, to be honest with you. So I would expect this week that at some point we're going to try to take this high. That's my expectation. I don't have my chart up. We boomered it 3 weeks in a row, but I would expect to take this high this week. That high is, from last week, depending on exchange that you chart on. This one is 95,843 with the naked point of control from February just above it at 96K. And then above that, you have like your quarter one and your 60-day, and they're just kind of stacked on top of each other within a few $100s. So it's really not worth, getting too far into it, other than just knowing that you've got a zone of resistance just above you. You front ran it. Bitcoin can do one of two things. It can push through it, and everybody that's going to short that zone is going to get wrecked because they didn't wait for the reaction. Or you're going to get people that get bullish here are buying into this as a failed breakout, and it comes back and just puts in a bigger consolidation. But I think it's going to make the attempt this week at some point. The question is if it fails or not. Me looking at things through the lens of more than likely not seeing this number again, I'm looking at it opportunistically that if we can get a confirmed SFP of the range, I know where I'm looking to trade that down to. Obviously, you might want to mark in an intermediate take profit in this zone because it should be support. But, ultimately, this would be where I'd be looking to either close that position or at least have locked in some gains and move my stop loss up if I was of the opposing camp. And then I'd be looking for positions to the upside from this region as well. But if it doesn't give us that move, you can't just blindly short here. So if you're already long, you can't just close because, that's a potential. You have to wait and see what happens. None of us truly know, of course, especially this cycle. It's been a fun one. So, Bitcoin's keeping it interesting as always, but I wouldn't say. The one thing I will leave people with to pay attention to going into tomorrow, because we've covered it every week on this show, is we had a line here, if you recall, and I'm going to get rid of a lot of stuff on the chart to clean it up as best I can, that these are 60-day averages. And if you recall, we had a 30-day average that had established our consolidation here. And we went through it about a month ago that anytime that you close a monthly average or pivot below this number, the established one, generally that reverses the trend. And you saw that we did here all the way back down in this region. And I'll get rid of the weeklies and we'll turn on the monthly real quick and we'll wrap that up. They are in blue. I believe that's blue. But you can see we closed below this guy here, right? And not a good look. You're below the 60-day on 2 time frames. Generally, that is a recipe for end of a run. You're now looking to generate actually back above that pivot, which is a really strong sign. So we don't want to see this giving up the yearly open on that move before the close tomorrow. We want to see this average continue to generate up here above 87,700. So your monthly pivot and your 60-day pivot need to generate where they are now, and that would actually look like almost a sign of strength. Not only are you generating back above the one that opened the range in this entire consolidation, but you would be recovering the prior 2 months averages at that point. If you can do that, you'd be generating slightly above them. Which gives you a really clean area to operate off of that. If you start giving this region that we just identified as support with that box up, then we'd say, okay, this might be a failure, like a failed auction style trade versus, being caught down here with our pants down. We would know that we would have to expect this to be support. So that would be the trade to make. It'd be to the upside at that point. So,
awesome. Thanks for that, Magic. Magic, can we swap over to a Solana chart if you don't mind?
Absolutely.
Solana's an interesting one to me. I feel like a lot of people are maybe a little too bearish on Solana, and I understand the position. This is more from a fundamental standpoint, Magic. It really ran hard off of the meme coin casino and pumped out fun. Now that's kind of waned. Everyone's like, oh my God, Solana is dead. But I try to remind people, it's not just meme coins, although that was a vast majority of their transactions. Solana still has appeal to a lot of institutions, stablecoin issuers, and so forth. And so when you're looking at a Solana chart, does this chart, I mean, what are you seeing from a price action standpoint, and what could people expect moving forward?
Yeah, so this is another one. We actually gave this, you asked us for a setup one week, and this was the setup we gave.
It was.
It was right here. Yes, it was. It was this one. We had front run this box. We were looking for, I called it the clean Stev shark, because that's the guy in the group that had identified it all the way like back over here, looking for it. And we'd worked out that this was going to be the major buy zone likely for this asset, between 85.28 and 110. And it did front run time, but we gave ourselves a pretty big window. So now that we've had our reversal, it's pretty clean. You'd be looking to do a couple different things. You could work off of volume, or you could be working off of fibs. I like to use fibs when we're doing anything like this, because it just gives us, in my opinion, a little bit cleaner targets. And we'd be looking for the 50% and the B leg on this, kind of like Caspa. We talked about that one the other day. It's the exact same trade setup, actually. This one just hit a little bit cleaner. And if you look at the B leg, we haven't quite tagged it yet at 168. So we are looking to see if this can push through 150 into that 168 region. And then after that, you'd be looking for like the yearly open, right around the 50% mark. And that 50% mark being at the yearly open is quite important, because again, just like Bitcoin, when you zoom out a little bit and we start looking at things from a yearly basis, and I'm going to get rid of some of this stuff here just because it's a little easier to do. That is a pretty good identifier that if we're living above the yearly open, that the overall trend on the high time frames is still up, right? So we've made a pretty big retracement here. Probably scared a lot of people, but the first step in this actually doing anything other than a bounce here from the highs of 2023 is going to be recovering that yearly open, which was quite a far away at 190. But if it can do that, historically speaking, above 190, like if we just take this and move it over, this is a very good spot to be. You can see this is where your all-time high was made. It couldn't hold it. Once you're below it, it's pretty much over with. But even right here, you can see that the yearly open, big resistance. This is going to be the area you want to see recovered. It recovers these lows, recovers the last month's high. And above 189, there's no reason it won't run to 232. And then we can have a serious conversation about trying to challenge into a new all-time high. But for now, I'd be looking for those, one, the current push up, but then after that, I am looking for a test into like the 190 region. And then you would just be trading this as a range. Obviously there's been deviations, but this has just been your box of range. Anything below the current lows, like if this thing fails here and comes back below, the 23 high or the current monthly open, which is going to expire, I think we could probably go out to a quarterly, maybe get a better look at it. Yeah, your quarterly opens here, so it's still very relevant. But this is the quarterly open at 124, 125. You start seeing meaningful time closures below there. It's probably time to reassess that position. And looking lower, you'd probably be targeting at least 70s. So for now, it's a good trade. There was a really nice setup in place. It played out exactly as it's supposed to. It didn't quite go as far as it could have, but it doesn't have to. That's why we kind of give it a zone in those cases. And now we're just looking to see how many of the targets are going to get hit. We're pretty close to target one here at the B leg, which was, again, 168.88. And then after that, you're just kind of scaling it up. But the more bullish targets are going to be the 50% and the 886 for this one, because it is a shark. So if you're going strictly off that and not market structure, we'll get rid of that and we'll put this zone on for people at home. And you can see that there it is. So you'd have the 50% at 195, which is right at the yearly open, which is 189. And then after that, if you recover that, you're looking to target, like we talked about, like this 232 to 250 zone, probably closer to 250 now that we're looking at it. And that's actually the all-time high from 2021, which would be kind of your next target. And if it makes a new all-time high off that structure, you can plan for it by just doing some simple fib stuff. And it would be the 113% and the 1618. And there we go. and we'll look at those just because we can. This one puts you just above the current highs. This one puts you more in line with what I had targeted for this asset if it were to really break out and have a massive bull run beyond the all-time high. I was looking for the 400s, and this would agree with that. So that'd be the target specifically of this pattern, would be these, matches up with our macro. So we got local levels to play first. Obviously, don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but in case someone wanted a roadmap beyond that because they believe Solana is just too fast and too bullish, well, there you go. The levels are still the levels. So
awesome. So so it looks like 400 was the kind of the higher end, right? That was your 1618 level.
Yeah, that was where I was really thinking. I was like, okay, if this thing gets like, you know, and I don't want to use the term that it wasn't banana sandwich because this thing went from $8 to, you know, 300 and some dollars. Yeah. But it is one of those where if it made a new all-time high and like, I mean, a convincing one, not like a sweep of it, this was the zone I was looking for. I just, you know, we haven't gotten it, but the bull run has not confirmed to be over yet. Bitcoin held the zone it needed to between 80 and 83. So there's really, you know, there's still time. There is still time.
You say that, and I'm sitting here doing the math. We'll just call it $10 to 300. That's a 30x for a top 25 project. I mean, that's crazy. Okay. Last one, Magic.
I got in at $30.
What's up, brother? Sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
I was late. I thought I was late because I bought at $30 because I was a Solana hater all the way down to the bottom. I always kind of have been because of SBF, that correlation just to me, I was like, I can't touch this thing. But
and that was a lot of, and it wasn't just you, Magic. It was a lot of people I talked to, and it was me in the beginning as well. But you know, I don't know. You watch our show, Magic, and every Friday we bring Forrest on. And he was so bullish on Solana for so long, and he comes on our show every week. I'm like, all right, maybe I need to give this thing another look. And I was like, okay. So I bought, my buy was around $22. He did the same thing with XRP. He kept talking about it. And I'm like, all right, let me take another look at this. And then that thing went from 50 cents to $3 and I don't know, like 50 cents, something like that. So, okay. Last one I want to ask you about is a project that, I have a lot of exposure to this project. I made a lot of money with it. And this thing has gone ballistic, and that is Virtual's protocol. I know a lot of our community members were able to get in early on these AI agent plays as well. And I'm assuming a lot of those people still have Virtual's protocol token. But I had a couple of key levels mapped out on Virtual's. One was $1.22. And I don't know if you have the same levels, Mag, but this is just what I had on my chart. I had $1.22. And then $2.03. Those are the levels I had my eye on. And so what are you seeing on the Virtuals chart on your end?
You said 203?
Yeah, 203 and $1.22.
I marked him out. We call them Dave's levels. So
Dave's levels, cool.
we'll take a gander.
Hell yeah.
We'll find out. I mean, without doing like a full-blown chart build on this and spending too much time, let's look. As of right now, it looks like your levels are okay because it's trying to hold at least on these high time frames as we start cruising in. Not a ton of data on this one because it's fairly new, but that's okay. That means we can look at it a little bit quicker sometimes, which is good. So quarterly open, I am going to mark that one with just a Q so that I know which time frame we're on. And got a lot that you can recover here. That is a big quarterly candle down. Holy crap.
Yeah, it got crushed.
A lot of altcoins did though. I mean, like this isn't the only one for sure. You know, we can't just exclude. I guess Fartcoin's the anomaly, right? And that's the one that's crushing everyone. So right away, your level at $1.22, super important. It's not going to be the previous month's high for too long, but it is currently the previous month's high. So at 122, if this is a reversal, you know, and now we're talking about a time frame that really matters for this asset because we're on a monthly and it only goes back to May of last year. So it's about to be 1 year old. Happy birthday in a couple days. But it is one of those things where holding on to the previous month's high is going to be important because that shows that people are willing to bid this higher potentially. And then you can start looking into this month here, which I'd be curious about February. But, you know, if you go to a daily, I'm sure that, you know, there's some kind of, there's like a little bit of respect here, some respect here. It's a very good level. And it lines up nicely with the timeframes, which is good. So we'll take a look at February in terms of where that range is at. And the reason is because you can see where that's the candle we're getting into. And so we just want to see where's that point of control on February, which was here. and it looks like it was much lower. It wasn't even naked. So you are just kind of putting around on top of the February range, but there's nothing really here. So in terms of looking at it just through a volume perspective and seeing that if you can continue to hold on to like, the local structure here and not give up that previous month high at $1.22 that you'd identified, you have a real chance at filling this in. There is a bit of a void there, and going up to that next level at $2. That would imply Bitcoin probably continues to hold strong. I don't think that any of these alts are going to see any kind of a rally without BTC hanging on for dear life at this point. Oh, nice. You cleared out your only naked point of control on the quarterly with this low, basically. Didn't quite formally tap it, but that's close enough. That's pretty good. Yeah, and there's your quarterly value area high here that's developing. So yeah, your level lines up. If you lose that level, you could be looking all the way back down to like 50 cents. It could dip below it and run into like $1.07, but I really wouldn't want to live below there. But I think that you're fairly spot on in terms of your assessment of your next level. This is saying if we're going just strictly off fibs, the 382 is coming up above at about 225. So probably more of a zone here between 2 and 225 for the next real major resistance. Where's the 236? Let's have a gander. Yeah, you're at the 236 now. So this is going to be kind of a pullback zone. But again, I think that you're spot on with your support. I do think I would give it a little more of a zone, knowing that this value area is here, just because you know how price is. It likes to wick below things. But as long as you're not living below this, like, let's just call it this box, you've got a really nice SR flip zone from even the move down. So it was a good spot. And things can, they can continue up from here as long as you're hanging on to this below this box. And I think this one's coming all the way back down into these lows, and maybe it finds another low there. And, this just turns into kind of the new base for a while. But certainly, you're spot on. Those are good levels. I don't really think I have too much to add on that one, to be quite upfront with you. Other than this thing got crushed. But if you bought these levels, hats off to you. You've made some good money. I would lock some profits in because there's always no guarantee it goes higher. But if I was looking for a fresh entry, I would wait to see what kind of a pullback I got here and see if I couldn't get in closer to the level that you gave. Just from a risk basis, if I was an investor or trader, I guess.
Yeah, that's my when this thing went down, I took profit. Like I took out, I think like 8 or 10x what I put in, because I got in really early. But still holding the amount I had left and watching that thing go down 92%, it was brutal, man. I didn't pick up any at the bottom because, again, I have a lot, but I have a few people reach out to me and I say, look, my saying always is magic. Never get on a train that's moving 100 miles an hour. You always wait for it to get to its next stop. And so I think the next stop for virtual, I think we will see a retracement. I would like to see a retracement back down to that $1.22. Hold that as support, and that's where I'll be looking along, or maybe add, or may open a new position in your spot backs for virtual. Magic, I'm going to ask you for one more thing, as if we haven't asked enough of you today. Rob and I are both in the camp that we're going to hit 100K by Friday. What percentage probability would you put on that?
I think you guys ask me these, and I hate them, but,
I know, but
100K by Friday, just knowing that the likelihood of a pullback to the 91.5 region seems more probable, and that's only based off of statistics, which can be invalidated because they are only numbers. I'm going to say like 20, 25%. I'm going to say that because I think that you get that pullback into that. I'm not saying 100K won't happen eventually again. I'm just saying that more than likely, if in the next week we see 91.5 based on probabilities, I would be less in the camp of 100,000 and more in the camp of 91.5 first.
Okay.
So
fair enough.
Yeah.
Guys, we have Magic's Discord pinned to the top of the chat. Highly, highly, highly recommend join his Discord. That's where we'll get more Magic and money. And also the rest of his team and his community as well. They post trade setups in there all day long. Magic, thank you so much again. Always a pleasure to have you on, my friend. And we'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys. Have a good Tuesday.
And then I did want to give a little love to the chat. We did get Rusty Bot. He donated, as you love to say, 20 Nokia phones. And he said, giver's gain at Crypto Billy. So big shout out to Rusty Bot. Also, we got a notification from YouTube that Destroyer has been a whale member for just shy of 3 years.
Dang.
So 34 months. And so
a boy destroying his bank account.
long time friend. And so thanks a bunch, Destroyer. Also, we are looking for some new whale members. It's been a while since we ran the whale animation. So if you haven't subscribed to that one, what up? we whale watching, baby. Let's go. Then some new faces. We got Jenny, iPad, Julio, Carson, Chevs. Love you. Gay, which is spelled Ghey.
Why are you gay?
You got Nate, Ben Simmons, Dan G, Biz, Knowledge, and Vincent. To all of you, hola! Welcome to SINCITY Crypto.
Did you say I love you, man? Love you too, bro. I do want to give a big thank you. Today's show is brought to you by Stake.us. You know, all this talk about Virtual's protocol. Well, guess what? Stake will buy you. Well, I can't say that. You can buy 20 Virtual Protocol tokens every month if you have an account on Stake.us. How? Create an account and just log in every day. You get $1 of free stake cash, and then you redeem it for crypto, and then you buy Virtual's protocol token. That's 20 a month, as long as the price stays at $1.45. If you're in the U.S., use the link in the description. If you're not in the U.S., still use the link in the description. A big thank you to Stake for bringing you today's show. With that being said, I want to share some important news. Robin, Arizona has officially become the first state to pass a Bitcoin strategic reserve bill in their House and their Senate, but the governor has to sign it, and the governor is a Democrat. And I think it was 95% of Democrats in Congress opposed the bill. So we're at an impasse here. Will Arizona become the first and the governor signs it? Or will the governor veto it and it allows room for a different state to come in first? What are your thoughts on this, Robin? Do you think once the first shoe falls, that every other state is going to be a race to get a strategic reserve, kind of like we're seeing on the federal level with Bitcoin, U.S., China, and some of the other countries, right?
Well, I mean, the states are going to get them done. The question is, are we going to find ourselves at an impasse where the governor's not going to sign it? I don't know. I think that's usually not done. Usually, if the governing body of the state passes something, usually just gets signed off. It's kind of like the president, right, where he can either veto or sign a bill into law. Generally, large majority is always signing a law, and it's always controversial when something gets vetoed. And it's actually kind of like very rare. I want to say. I don't want to say
this governor has vetoed a I don't want to say a significant amount, but a decent amount of bills. The governor of Arizona. I've always said crypto is a nonpartisan issue, but it seems to become more partisan every day. We're continuing to see Republicans be more pro-crypto and vocal about passing some of this legislation than we see their Democrat counterparts. And again, the governor of Arizona is a Democrat, and the majority of the people that voted against the strategic bill were also Democrats. And so it'll be interesting, but I want you guys to just wrap your mind around what we're seeing. Even if we have 15 to 20 states have a strategic reserve, the numbers I was looking at are, and this is the article from CoinDesk.com. Will Arizona become the first? I think the number was $3.5 billion would go towards BTC. That is 10% of, I think it was their net. I forgot. Here, you know what? I think I have it here. Let me pull it up real quick. I think I had the exact numbers. I want to be accurate on this one. Okay, 10% of public funds. So here you go. This is the post by Carl Menger. Arizona State approves first ever U.S. Bitcoin reserve set to invest 10% of their $31.5 billion state assets, which is $3.15 billion. Now, say, well, Saylor bought half of that in one clip. That's 1 out of 50 states. That's not even including the U.S. government. And so I think, to answer my own question, once we get the first state to pass it, maybe it's 3 months after, maybe it's 6 months after, but you'll start seeing, as Bitcoin appreciates and the state's budget increases or their revenue and their assets increase in value, maybe states say we're going to lower the state income tax. Maybe this is something California can do to stop the mass exodus of people, get a strategic reserve, use some of those assets, lower their income tax rate on the state level. So there's a bunch of different things that Bitcoin could do for those states to get people to move there and pay taxes and build businesses and raise a family there, whatever they decide to do. And I think that's coming in the next 1 to 3 years, but we got to get that first shoe to drop. And I don't know if it's going to be Arizona, but there's a bunch of states that are currently, at the very least, considering potential strategic reserve legislation for their state. And so, again, we'll see what the governor does. Hopefully, it gets...
Yeah, I was doing a little last-second research here. It doesn't sound good, I'll be honest with you.
Katie Hobbs, right?
Yeah, so Katie Hobbs... Katie Hobbs is the governor here, and so they were saying that this week... she's saying she's not a supporter of it. She's threatened to veto the bill already, and on top of that, she's already vetoed 15 bills this week.
I told you this week.
Yeah. So
the problem is their Congress, their House and Senate is, I believe, mostly Republican. So you have this tug of war between the. It's like it's just so petty, bro.
Yeah. Digging into this, the sounds of it doesn't sound likely. Sounds like it'll get vetoed.
Hey, who's going to be the first state? I think that's going to be absolutely massive. I mean, Rob, the obvious here, what I stated. Is there anything else you kind of wanted to add to that narrative, or to me, it's pretty straightforward. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's talk a little bit about some ETFs. We did have some maybe not so good news. I don't see this as bad news, but the SEC has officially extended their deadline on the Franklin Templeton XRP ETF. That decision is now due by June 17th. Also, they delayed the SEC Bitwise's Dogecoin ETF. The new deadline for approval, denial, or further action is now June 15th. So June will be the month of, hey, we're going to get a denial, potentially another extension, or an approval of the ETFs. You guys got to remember, Paul Atkins was just sworn in last week, so it's still fairly new. But this is the most pro-crypto, pro-digital asset, pro-blockchain SEC staff that we have ever had. Between the commissioners and the chairman, you got 3 votes you can always count on. Yes, that's Mark Ueda, Hester Peirce, and now Paul Atkins. That is a majority. That's all you need. Out of the 5, 3 out of 2, 3 out of 5. And so I think this will happen. Now, how long does it take? What are they looking at? What's the delay? I don't know the answers to that question. You want to take a stab at why this is delaying? I feel like a lot of people, Rob, saw the super pro crypto people come into the SEC and expected everything to be just approved, especially after we saw that they essentially dropped those lawsuits fairly quickly. What do you think the holdup is if you were to take a stab at?
I think what you're going to see is they're going to just approve everything
At once?
No, not saying like all at the same day, but in a relatively short time window. So, I mean, it does make sense that they would. You're only going to approve the ETFs once, right? You're only going to get one go at it from the SEC's perspective, right? And you got less than a year to do it. Now you got a couple more delays that you can kick the can further down the road, but it makes sense that a government organization that's going to put together a framework for trading digital assets. There's also a lot of other factors on the table. You got staking dynamics, and you got the foundations for some of these that also play a part in this as well.
I think that's a good point you brought up.
And so it's not as clean and simple as Bitcoin, right?
Outside of you look at proof of work, Bitcoin, Doge.
I think they'll all pass. I mean, it's not that. I just think the SEC is going to take as much time as possible, and then they're going to wait to the very end because you're only going to have one chance of launching this, right? And so, I mean, why not? At this point, we haven't had it for the entirety of crypto, and so with that said, what's another 6 months to the SEC's perspective, right?
Who has the best hair? Robin, David, Rocco, or Ashley? I think it's obviously Rocco for sure.
Yeah, I'd have to give it to Rocco. Yeah, right.
Sorry, Ashley. Rob's half balding. There it is. Look at those locks.
Wow.
Wow.
Wowzers.
Yeah. The man of few words, but very powerful hair. Rocco, you know, I asked him one time, I said, what would it take for you to cut your hair? And he laughed at me.
He didn't laugh. He laughed at you like he wanted to punch you in the face.
That's true. Yeah.
He said,
because I tried to put a number on it, but when I got that initial response, it's like, yeah, it's probably useless. Yeah. Rocco, would you like to answer that question? Do you have a number in mind? Maybe we can raise it from the community.
I have no number in mind yet.
No number? Okay. All right.
that's like cutting his soul away, man. You can't do that, bro.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Cutting his soul away. All
Maybe
right.
touch,
That's
yeah.
awesome, man.
Yeah.
Also, if you're new, make sure you subscribe to the channel, have a notification bell pinged on. That's it. That's all I got for the show. Unless, Robin, you had anything.
Oh, there's Ashley at the last second. She said, I quit Super Chat, $1.99.
That's funny.
You have no room to talk about $1.99 super chats, you cheap ass.
Yeah.
This fool was in the back, super chat.
We can do air throw down.
$1.99. I told Rock, I was like, do not read any of his $2 super chats. He wants the super chats read. It's got to be at least $20. Ashley, we do not accept your resignation. Sorry. Also, guys, join our Discord. Highly recommend you do so. And then I will be going live today at 2 p.m. Pacific for our trading show. And so come join me there. And with that being said, Rocco, thank you all so much for tuning in. We appreciate every single one of you. Hope we got some great news and content. Also, big thank you to Magic for joining us. I will see you guys at 2 p.m. Pacific today. Until then, peace.
SINCITY, crypto, everybody know we here for entertainment and info, gonna show you how to get that big dough. So every day stay tapped in, for big facts, no capping. With Bitcoin, if you're in, then you win. We divide the pie with no fraction. It's Big Rob, David, I split the game, but they gave it. Name the coin that's your favorite. I got dry powder, why save it? To the OGs, new beginners, special shout out to the well members. Buy a dip, sell winners. Ain't really nothing you can tell sinners. Tune in for the latest new flavors. They gonna teach us mean coins. They polarizing